Hello, third period Foundations Math 1. This is Miss Reynolds. Today is Wednesday, September 9th. I will help you guys translate this assignment page. This is page 2 of your notes. So we had notes page 1, assignment Ed Puzzle is due today, Wednesday, September 9th. So make sure we watch that video to get that assignment credit. And you guys will be required to submit pictures of page 1 and 2 for this assignment grade. So let's start with letter A. Find two consecutive integers such that 10 more than twice the smaller is 7 less than 3 times the larger. So the first thing we need to realize is, or the very first thing we need to do is define our variable, x. So if x is an integer and I want to find two consecutive integers, the next one is going to be x plus 1. So then this such that part is just telling us that what comes next is how we're going to set up our equation. So we have 10 more than. So that means I'm going to be adding 10. So 10 more than twice the smaller. So twice the smaller, I need to realize that the smaller is in, and this is telling me times 2. So I'm going to have 2n is equals 7 less than. So we're going to be subtracting 7. 3 times the larger. So this is where we need to be careful because I can't just write 3x plus 1 because that's not 3 times the larger. That's 3 times the smaller plus 1. If I want to multiply my larger integer by 3, I need to put the 3 outside my parentheses. So now let's write this as an equation. So understand that these two words, this than that's in here twice, is telling us that I need to switch the order that the expression is given. So it's given to me 10 more than twice the smaller. I need to write it as 2n plus 10. So than is a switch word. It's telling us to switch the part that comes after with what comes before. So this has to go here and this has to go there. Same thing with this last part. So is means equal. And then I have 3x plus 1 minus 7. So again, minus 7 went after 3 times the larger. So from there, you guys need to solve this equation. And I used x and n. This is going to be x for this problem. Sorry, mixed up my variables. So we're only using one variable, x. So our final answer is going to be whatever those two integers are. So pause the video now if you didn't get everything, and make sure we got this equation written down. Letter B, find two consecutive even integers such that their sum is equal to the difference of 3 times the larger and 2 times the smaller. So we have a lot of information here to work with. The first thing we need to realize is we're working with even integers. So I'm going to have n and n plus 2 because there's 2 of them, such that their sum, so I'm adding, is equal to, so that's the equal sign, the difference of. So anytime I see this word of, I need to jump straight to the word and. So difference is telling me to subtract, and is telling me where to put the minus sign. So I'm finding the difference between these two things on either side. Let's do a different color. So I'm finding the difference between 3 times the larger. So again, remember, like in letter A, I have to put my n plus 2 in parentheses because n plus 2 is the larger. And then 2 times the smaller. So we have the sum of two consecutive even integers. So I need to add n plus 2 is equal to the difference of 3 times the larger minus 2n. So pause here if you didn't finish writing down this equation and make sure we get this written down to solve. So again, it wants us to find two even consecutive integers. So my answers are going to be n and n plus 2. So that's going to be my final answer. And I do want you guys to put your final answers in boxes for page 2, so it's easy for me to look at your picture and identify if you got the right answer. Letter C. Find three consecutive integers such that 3 times the largest increased by 2 is equal to 5 times the smallest increased by 3 times the middle integer. This is probably the most complex, and we need to make sure that we're paying close attention to how our integers are grouped. So first, we need to realize or decide what variable we're going to use. Let's keep using n. I'm going to have 3 consecutive integers, so I'm going to have n plus 1, and n plus 2, such that 3 times the largest, so the largest is going to be n plus 2, and we're going to multiply that by 3, increased by 2. So that means I'm going to add 2 after I multiply. So understand that I have to multiply the largest integer by 3 before I add 2. That's another reason why it's important to have our parentheses. Because if I write this as 3n plus 2 plus 2, that's nowhere near the same thing as what we need. Is equal to, so that's my equal sign, 5 times the smallest, so that's 5n, increased by, so we're adding 3 times the middle integer. 3 times the one in the middle is n plus 1. So now let's write this all as one equation. 3 times n plus 2 equals 5n plus 3 times n plus 1. Pause the video now. Make sure we have this one written down. And last but not least, letter D, find 3 consecutive odd integers such that the sum of the smaller two is 3 times the largest increased by 7. So here, first thing we need to notice is I'm dealing with odd, I'm dealing with odd integers, and there's 3 of them. So I'm going to have n plus 2, because I need to skip to the next odd integer, and then n plus 4 to skip to the next odd one after that, such that the sum, so I'm going to be adding, of the smaller two, so n plus 2, is, that's equals, 3 times the largest, so 3 times n plus 4, increased by 7. So then I add 7. All right, let's write this out as one equation. So I have n plus 2 equals 3 times n plus 4 plus 7. So it wants us to find all 3 numbers. So our final answer is going to be n plus 2, n plus 4. That's what we're looking for. And this is page 2 in your notes for Unit 1B, Modeling Multi-Step Equations. Up next, we are going to do some practice and review with translating. So this is page 3. We're going to do some practice there. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the answers for 20 through 27. And I'm going to create a separate Edpuzzle video to discuss and explain page 3. So make sure we pause and get answers for 20 through 27 written in our notes. And here we have 28 through 34. We see I just have the perimeter examples written down, so make sure we get these notes written in to understand the different ways we can write a perimeter equation. So our next video will be covering page 3, translating words to math practice. And there is a little bit of distance, right, time, and perimeter thrown in. That's why I assigned you guys Edpuzzle, translating, introduction, and distance, rate, time, introduction, and those other examples for us to get exposed to more of this content and get some instruction before we just start doing the assignments. So page 3 will be next week. So that'll be pushing into week 5, Monday the 14th, Wednesday the 16th, so on into next week. So make sure that we get our notes for page 1 and our equations for page 2 because those will need to be submitted early next week.